When I was a kid, one time I remember inviting a new friend home from school. We hadn't been friends for long, and so it was really important to me that I made that good first impression. We went out and we explored an old one-room schoolhouse that was abandoned on one end of the farm where I grew up. So we went through the upstairs and the attic, which were just full of these old milking supplies from back when my great uncles had kept dairy cows. Real treasures. And we went down into the basement, and everything there was a mess too. But there was this wall full of neatly stacked windows. And my friend said, "Wouldn't it be fun if we break these windows?" I knew better. But I don't know if it was the sound of the breaking glass or the curiosity that a lot of us boys naturally have to see how things come apart. It was, I guess, a little fun. Even though I knew we shouldn't be doing it, we broke every single window. Now, when my dad found out later that night, and this was, of course, after my friend was gone, my dad wasn't happy. The hardest part for me, though, was that I couldn't even tell him why I'd done it. I mean, looking back, I realized I was just looking for a way to fit in. My motivation was the pressure to conform, to be just like everyone else. How about you? Have you ever done something that deep down you knew was wrong, but you did it anyways, just to make it a little easier to fit in? Now, this was one of the temptations that the Israelites were probably dealing with when they tried to recast God in their own image. Last time we talked about how convenience or impatience can drive us to idolatry. Today we're going to take a look at how we can feel pressured to meet God on the terms of our own culture. Now, the story of the golden calf, I think, is often misinterpreted, in part because it does seem to be such a simple story. I mean, it was a long time ago. The Israelites had been hanging out with a lot of Egyptians. They were known for having a lot of crazy ideas about worshiping other gods. And the Israelites, they picked up some bad habits, some backwards ideas. That's probably a part of the story, but it's not the whole story. Now, you see, the Egyptians, whenever they worshipped livestock, cows and the like, they worshipped living animals. They were worshiping the creation, not their own creation. Now, Aaron here specifically connects the idol with the actions of Yahweh, who led them out of Egypt. See, pagan gods, like we talked about last time, are very convenient. You always know right where to find them because they don't go anywhere. Pagan gods are also engineered to be satisfying to worship. The rituals and routines that surround idolatry are systematic, they're repetitious, but they leave the worshiper with a sense of accomplishment after completing a sacrifice or a celebration. Now, there's room for debate, but I think that the text in Exodus 32 makes it most probable that the Israelites weren't trying to create a new God, but they were just trying to fit Yahweh into terms of worship that made sense to them because of their cultural context. But God's intention was to show them what true worship really looked like. Go ahead and take a look at Jeremiah 10, 2 through 5 with me. Thus says the Lord, learn not the way of the nations, nor be dismayed at the signs of the heavens, because the nations are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vanity. A tree from the forest is cut down and worked with an axe by the hands of a craftsman. They decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammer and nails so that it cannot move. Their idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field, and they cannot speak. They have to be carried, for they cannot walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither is it in them to do good. Now, when we do give in to cultural pressure to recast God, and we worship God in human terms, I think it's really easy to see how idolatry isn't just about worshiping the things that we can make with our own hands. It's really about worshiping ourselves, putting ourselves first in worship. Probably one of the most powerful ways that our culture tempts us to recast God, to be more like ourselves, is by encouraging us to do and believe whatever feels right. Many in our culture believe that we can find our own truth and find our own definitions of right and wrong by looking into our own hearts, by seeking to maximize our own happiness Maybe we'll be aware of the impact that our actions could have on the happiness of others, but it still comes down to me first. The Bible, though, teaches us that God's moral law can be clearly observed in the world all around us. And by studying His Word and living in relationship with His living Word, Jesus Christ, we'll really understand that clearly. John 14:6, Jesus here makes it really clear that He is the way, the truth, and the life. Now, there's only one truth that matters objectively if we want to be restored to a right relationship with God and His creation. We can only live that truth by walking with Jesus day by day, moment by moment. True worship is a life lived in right relationship with Jesus. So I'd like to know, what are some ways that we feel pressured to conform God to the expectations of our culture today? Share some examples below in the comments or email me, weston@gracepoint.ca. I'm really looking forward to talking with you, and I'd love to have you drop by for our next fireside discussion, 6:30 p.m. every Sunday this summer. Thank you so much. God bless.